Alright, let me know in the chat if you guys can hear my voice. I want to test something out. And I changed a couple of settings this time. Hopefully when I do stream for an extended period of time that I'm not having a complete lag attack. So there's that. F2500. Wait, what? Alright, if I'm able to hear myself, we can begin the stream, I suppose. With, you know, this stream that, you know, I thought, I don't know. But I thought, you know what? Since there's, like, not gonna be basically any news whatsoever, I decided, you know what? Let me try to figure this streaming issue out. Because the last time I streamed, which was like 2 months ago, the entire stream, after like an hour and a half, just had a complete lag attack. And I was like, okay, how do I solve this whole thing out? Because I wasn't going to tolerate lag in the middle of the stream and stuff. And I don't know how many of you guys have watched my previous video and whatnot, but I talked about briefly about this game right here, which is the resting place for accounts that were hacked and deleted by condos. And I made a whole short about it, at least a moment, which is the equivalency to YouTube Shorts and TikTok and all that other stuff. My visits just exploded, like, and it's because it literally hit. Like, the moment that I made, it got, basically, as of recently, 1,000 or so likes, reactions. So now I'm just sitting here like, holy crap. If it got that much, talk about craziness. But yeah, we got, you know, peak concurrent users, and it's still sitting at like 6 here, which is, you know, that's still work in progress, don't get me wrong. Wait a minute. If I go 7 days and go to hours, this is gonna be an interesting one. Yeah, this stuff still shows 11. Let's go 28 days. And it's still gonna be a ton of hours waiting, and yeah, it still says 11. Okay. Just thought I would show my stats while I'm just sitting here waiting for a possible tour of a place I have not gotten to yet. And it's basically Applewood here, which I will show you guys in a moment. It's not this one. It has similar naming format, but not sure why the games I make aren't even in the search results. In fact, it's at the bottom of the search result, which is strange. Because it's like, okay, what's even the point in, you know, make these kind of games, and then you get all this crap going on. So, yeah, we're gonna hop on to Applewood. Hopefully nothing crazy happens on stream, like having it lag out. And then, if the whole thing goes well, like the whole tour, and the stream doesn't crash in the middle of it, I'm going to, you know, probably do another one later. Because, quite frankly, I, you know, would be impressed with the stats of the game or whatever the heck. And now it's a matter of, like, okay, and whatnot. So we could just go to live real quick and see what I mean here. So, starting in 2023, I started doing tours of places I've worked on probably the most. Starting off with Andorra, which is a fictional city set in the middle of Egypt on the Nile River Valley. And then Timok Island, which is another virtual place in the Red Sea in Egypt. And then 3 months ago, I did a tour of Sonder City, which is the largest city in my virtual nation of Morseville. That's still being worked on after the fact. And now we got Applewood here, which surprisingly I'm not lagging, believe it or not. I have all the stats open to show it too, which means the stream is going surprisingly well, considering. So that's a promising sign, but that's like, I don't know, 9 minutes, which is not saying much, but, you know, if you could figure out if it is doing well with the stats I set it to. I actually changed some of the settings of how to stream stuff, and yes, I'll keep the settings as it is and figure everything else out from there. But yeah, YouTube said my current bit rate is too high, which is a very interesting thing coming from YouTube to say about my stream. But we'll be able to tell if it's actually too high or not probably later during this whole ordeal. Oh wait, I could use another car even. Okay, I'm not lagging too much from that. How slow is the stream on your guys' end? Like, if it's still like 2 frames a second, then I have no words to say, truly, because I don't know what to do from there, because I gotta solve the issue somehow. Or if it literally showing 2 frames a second, like it's the worst stream on earth or some crap. Okay, what the heck happened to the side of the car? What? You've seen this crap too, right? What the actual heck? Okay, this is getting a little too crazy. And this tour hasn't even basically started. Okay, it's back. It might have been the lag spike. Goodness gracious. But we got Starbucks coffee, which is a parody of Starbucks, because whatever you do when it comes to trying to have a Starbucks on Roblox, your decal will just be declined no matter what. It was tried in 2018, it was even tried recently. The same thing applies, so we had to take a Roblox version of the entire brand with Starbucks coffee and just say, well, there it is. That's Starbucks, just the Robloxian version. And, you know, it's empty. Sort of. But that's where we will begin our entire tour. And there's the president's house to the north of this whole spawn area, which the interesting thing is that if you guys have not checked out the spawn, and there's the capital above it. Yes, the spawn is below the capital area, and this here is the complex in... Okay, maybe if my car's gonna continue to lag out my entire game session, I might just have to run instead. And yeah, this is the president's house here, and I have my graphics at a 5, so I wouldn't lag supremely hard, even though it can lag at a 2 sometimes. It's either because my MacBook is relatively old, or something else, but it needs to stop either way. And yeah, I'm gonna come back around, but... Oh, jeez. Okay. Okay. This car, man. This car is nuts at times. We're gonna get close to the freeway regarding this road here. And I also wanted to input out there that I've also recently made, as of like January of this year, which is almost a year ago, the vice president's house. That has been separated. Instead of like having one wing for the president, one wing for the vice president, you just have like 2 different buildings, which who knows if this whole thing is ideal or not. And this lag is about to drive me up the wall, so I might have no choice eventually but to choose a different car. But I'm gonna get back to the spawn at this point in a minute. Yeah, there's the vice president's house I just made recently. And here's all these gates, like within certain streets, that checks if you're a government official or not. Well, it would serve as the role of just having the technology to do so. But yeah, next to that's a gas station, and then yeah, even a big boy location, which I decided to add 5 floors of just housing residents on top of the big boy, which is unconventional. And then you get Applebee's and Tim Hortons across. And unless there's like some copyright thing that'll prevent me from utilizing real-life business names, and I'll just have to stick to what they are now. So we got a Shell gas station and then a Waffle House next to it, which is across, by the way, from one of the newer government buildings, which I am not sure if I have named. Okay, I'm gonna have to park this thing because this is going to just glitch out every 10 seconds, and that is not gonna cut it for me. Like right now. And if it does in like another 10 seconds, then I don't know. Yeah, there we go. It's lagging. Great. Well, not really. So let me know if you guys want to ever join this game. Because hold on, let me see this ideal speed for me to go. That might do it. Well, let me see if the name is within the model, because I can... no, I do not named it. Okay, well, at any rate, I have not decided what these 2 federal buildings here are going to be, because I was just busy making the buildings rather than just naming them, which is what I kind of needed to do at the time, because it's just a national capital, and it should have buildings where these departments would work at. So now at this point it's like, okay, what the heck is this gonna be? And all that. And I still have not quite figured it out yet. So yeah. Unlike these buildings here, which I have labeled in one way or another. This one is supposed to be the National Library. And I say supposed to because I haven't quite filled it in, but if you didn't watch the Andrea tour video, which there's a good chance that any of you haven't watched it, but they have bookshelves as well, and I will probably get to that after this whole thing ends and stuff. Let me see, my stream's holding up after 18 minutes. But across from the library is the federal courthouse, which is basically its own version of the U.S. Supreme Court building, I guess. Even though I'm not sure if I have to make it this big, considering it's just a Supreme Court building and nothing more. And at the end of this whole walkway plaza is the Capitol building, which has a semi-dome and a flagpole at the very top of the building. And this is where east of the Capitol, I started utilizing the space there to build out future embassies of existing nations like Canada and the United States and so on. Alright, I have to change this one in a future update, because it don't exist no more. Baltia, it's also another virtual nation there. And across from all these embassies here, just to the south, we got a parking structure, and I forgot what I said this was going to be. It's probably a museum. I won't be surprised if that is what I was going to put it as, a museum, but yeah. Parking structure access as well. And then you get homes nearby, which who knows if it's going to be demolished, rather, in a future update where there's going to be an expansion on, you know, federal land in the area, because where are you going to put your federal buildings? And we can just start heading south at this point. You get all these businesses, mainly fast food restaurants, and a gas station, all the way to another freeway, Interstate 99, which is one of the two main freeways running through this entire city. And I'll go in the opposite direction for a minute. And, you know, here are the express lanes of Warwick Boulevard, which is basically a freeway at this point. You know, you got all kinds of, like, heck, I even brought Max and Irma's, which is a localized restaurant here. We got Raising Cane's, which is, you know, it's there precisely. And I put a car dealership further down the stretch of road, just on the opposite side. Over here. And yeah, it's named West Warwick due to what side of the city it's on and the road it's on, which is kind of simple, if anything. This freeway would continue, as is the Warwick Freeway, up to here, which it abruptly turns back into a boulevard outside of the capital city. And you know, this is not much from here westward. Over near like Big Boulevard and stuff. Which I just recently finished it, at least the intersection here of it all. Now we got a factory here too. And that is across the dealership. And let me guys, let me know guys if you want to join me in game as well for this tour. But you can always watch from here because, it's, this map is quite big and I have not finished the marking here, quite frankly. Which can easily be done, by the way. And this road just carries on to a big road, a major road at that, with 3 lanes in each direction, maybe 4. Telegraph Road, which could become a freeway if somebody even wanted to, because of how big the freaking median is. So for you guys who just joined the stream, welcome, and I am touring one of the places I worked on in the last decade or so. And that sign, which has Applewood on it, is the city name in the surrounding area with the map that's being built out here. And yes, this has suburbs as well. Like, yeah. This literally has suburbs. Maybe incomplete suburbs, but definitely suburbs. But yeah. In retrospect, I'm not sure if having a 4-lane boulevard run through the middle of downtown New Plymouth is such a great idea. However, there can be space made to have it reduced also, if we want to go down that road. I have not gotten to basically filling this space up along the main roads on the town New Plymouth. Well, technically it's a city, but it's a suburb. This is also incomplete. It had a line of garages, but the houses are not there, so I guess I'm gonna have to do it myself at some point, whenever that some point is, because I didn't build out the garages. Someone else who was also working on the project built that out. The Andersons. Yeah, it's a big store, and I have no idea what it is. Primarily because I have never quite been to a store like this. So, like the Andersons anyway. And it looks like we got a neighborhood here that I've filled in with houses. That who knows if they're too big for the map I'm building or not. And then we get a line of factories just to the north of this major road here, which I believe is called Front Street. This stream is still laggy. I'm not even surprised somehow. Even though I did change the settings a little bit on it. But it looks like I'm gonna have to change settings again. Which is fine by me. Because, you know, I just want the folks that are tuned into the stream to actually enjoy the same stream. Even if it's like the laggiest thing since, you know, I don't know, old Roblox or some crap. Okay, that's a major lag spike. Loading something in. Yeah, it had a hotel here that is branded Hampton Inn, which is across from an arena, which I have a basketball court for the time being, which has his own basketball team, and that is a net on the ground. Yeah, I might have to replace that entire system, because why did the net fall off the rim? That is just bad. Yeah, I'm streaming with OBS. And there's a roundabout. And that's not the only roundabout. If you saw the beginning of the entire tour, there's like a couple of more near the spawn. OBS has a feature that will all detect optimal streaming settings for YouTube. Interesting. I'll have to check it out. Because maybe then my stream will stop showing 2 frames a second and maybe go with 20 instead. I don't know. It's strange how it's still lagging after I configure everything. But yeah, we got multiple lines of rail that are parallel to each other, really. And let me see whether or not they even... Yeah, they do not meet up with each other. Instead, one goes over the other. I don't know why there's a viaduct of railroad that is just hovering over everything, but sure. And we're gonna head back towards downtown again. Another few of those same factories earlier, or warehouses. 3-story housing, apartments. Passed by the same hotel. And I made some kind of like bike path, like around the roundabout, which... Looking back, I could just say that I could incorporate it with the roundabout itself, but I don't know when the time will be, because 2026 is gonna be a rough year for Roblox. That's all I do know. And here's the building where the federal police is working at. Hopefully I have windows here. I do. And I made it taller than I originally thought of. Because I wanted the building to have like, to be tall enough to blend in with the skyline or whatever the heck. And needless to say, it worked. Sounds like I'm walking when I'm flying, which is absurd. And it looks like I found the doors. for a moment. Holy crap. Okay. Okay. Well, that's something. Wait, I thought of the restrooms. Which, you know. The whole point of having restrooms is just using them, not turning it into a slugfest of degeneracy like a certain guy have turned bathrooms into. I mean, like, this, you cannot make this up. Like, bathroom simulators, if any of you guys have been around my channel for at least 2 years, I have ranted about bathroom simulators in January of 2023 twice. And it didn't get much attention, like maybe 100, 200 views on either video. But, you know, it wouldn't get, like, picked up until, like, later by those with major following. But, needless to say, it has led to horrendous stuff happening with, you know, kids being, I don't know. You know what happens when they meet predators? They typically get moved to another website like Discord or Snapchat or even Facebook at random times, and they get kidnapped. Sometimes. But yeah. And yeah, these are like the same kind of skyscrapers I had. Just fake buildings. Just all over. And, you know, the funny thing is we got these type of textures from somewhere. And it's all over. And yeah, do not ask me about this set of buildings right here. I did not add that, but it's there. It's like if the actual thing closes in real life, so would the building in Applewood. Which wouldn't be too far-fetched. Now we're going to head southwards again. This time towards the hospital, which you can not walk through, but it'll be ideal, you know, if I could add floors even. But I'll see about everything at a later time. And this is where I've worked on Applewood. Probably okay, I have to fix that sign too. But this is probably the part of Applewood where I work on the most. This intersection with 10th Street and Broad Street. I meant 10th Avenue, whatever. Because I have a street numbering system that also goes north of downtown. Which I barely worked on, by the way. But I was so busy working on everything from downtown to the Capitol and even further south of Applewood, instead of working on everything north of downtown, which has its benefits and downsides. Like, having a full, complete big city of a map would have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of parts. Like with the skyscrapers, the roads, parking lots, everything else in between. It's just going to be quite a bit. Luckily for the businesses on 10th Avenue, however, you get limited street parking. If you ever want to stop around here, you could just park it. Now I'm gonna head back north for a minute. You know, modernist looking houses, and I thought I anchored this. Apparently I did not do that. So that's more fixing to do. And then we got the storage facility, which, you know, it brings jobs theoretically. That's cool. And now we're heading south again. Here's the dealership. Another one, because one dealership in the city from the same company is not enough. You gotta have two to have some interesting competition. And on different sides of the city, too, by the way. But this one, which has been upgraded about a year or two ago, hosts a model of one of the cars I have made from scratch. And is on full display. You can see it from outside of the dealership, which is cool. And then there's another one on display, also inside. And let me see if it shows the speed thing or not. It doesn't. So yeah, I made it where you can't drive it, and that it's a car on display as well. So there's two cars on display. And here's the original building that just kind of got turned into something else there. And you get offices on the third floor. I believe. Offices. But it's literally called the county dealership, which is, you know, blatantly bland of a name, but, you know. And then on 11th Avenue, which is this here I'm on, we got a whole line of just businesses ready to be occupied and used for, you know, any kind of business, including a clinic of sorts, which is this right here. Fully furnished and everything, by the way. There's a check-in desk. Oh, wait, I locked this for a reason. Yeah, this is a patient room. Kind of where you go into your doctor's office for a checkup or something. There's the place to do it. And I'm stuck. Not ideal. Hold on. Okay. And the waiting area is split into two separate areas. The well and the sick area. Just like, you know, I believe typical spaces as well. And I don't know why there's a bed just out here in the open. But hey. What do I know? We're gonna try to sneak our way out of here. And we got 4-story apartments just lined up the street across from these businesses with, you know, one apartment unit per floor. And yeah, it has barely a porch. Just barely. And then you get, yes, businesses. You get a combination of a Taco Bell and Burger King parody, ripoff, or whatever, made of my own, and then you get an actual business in Marco's and some beauty store. More apartments south of the fire department. And then here, there is a government property which leads underneath the city. And I'll tell you guys what it is in a moment when I come back over here. Okay, did I name this street that's just redone? If not, then that would have been a shame. Because I made it have lines and... Okay, it's named Washington Street, which is, you know, it's the most stereotypical name. And here's the church that I just added recently. That was made by someone else. I got access to, got a model of it, and just brought in Applewood. And honestly, I like the detailing of this entire building here, honestly. And I tried to incorporate this into another big church I tried making. And I guess I should show you guys that now. More apartment units and houses in the mix of it all. Got the Federal Police Building. A McDonald's ripoff called McAngry's. I mean, I kind of had to do that. Because, you know, I kind of don't want to, like, own a certain location of McDonald's in comparison to, like, you know, an entire area of sorts. We got more houses over here. Just, why not more houses? Like, you can't never get enough houses around here. Especially if you want to have a big population of people just moving in. Like, sure. Yeah, here's the mega church I was talking about here. Even though the detailing is kind of, you know, I don't know if it's suspect or not, but it's definitely interesting. And yeah, it doesn't have seats or anything, but that's where some of the inspiration came in, with the arches and the gallery, I think it's what it's called. And all these other spaces defined by rows of columns and arches and that stuff. Alright, let me get out of here now. Thank you. 3 frames per second instead of 2? Alright, boys, we're getting the job done already, man. Our stream is less laggy than it was before, and I didn't even have to do a thing. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but that's just hilarious. But yeah, we got another roundabout here. Yes. Roundabouts have become the new standard of intersections in the US, Canada even, and now this neck of the woods here. Alright, let me give my friend here a little boost with speed, because I know walking for a while must be exhausting. Like, deadly exhausting. More houses, because you gotta fill the area up with something somehow. But yeah, this is the one of the newest roundabouts in Applewood, actually. And then 2 blocks later, another roundabout, mind you, by a school, which is Ironically, what has happened to by my school district as well, where all the intersections by it just turned into roundabouts on one single road, which is just absurd. And then here's another roundabout that we've seen earlier before I had to stop my car because the lag was just too bad, and to the point the car was glitching, which is unheard of. And there was a roundabout on 18th Street here, which is the spawn point. And you know, until that roundabout's gone. So we're now with one by downtown, one by the Capitol area, and then another two further south. So that's 4 roundabouts in Applewood so far. And there is a possibility of even more somehow, because the roundabouts are everybody's favorite intersection type, where they're just upgrading everything into roundabouts because it's safer. Or at least what they said it was safer. Okay. I said I was going to get to the bunker area, but I'm way south of the whole bunker area, or the government-owned area, so I'm going into the suburban parts of Applewood, which, you know, even in virtual cities, there are suburbs, or at least can be suburbs. And, you know, I started this housing development, which kind of looks the same, but not entirely. So I'm going to have to make another type of building in order to pull it off regarding the entire ordeal with, you know, subdivisions. And we get a shopping center. With, yes, Toys R Us. They've came back out of the dead somehow, and they have picked this location to start their operations in the area. But then we get a clothing store in Kohl's and a grocery store in Aldi's. North of it, back into Applewood, you get a gas station, followed by a Dairy Queen further north of it with an absurdly large amount of parking. And, you know, this kind of space is kind of open for whatever. And then nearby both of those things, you get even more apartments. Followed by a 7-Eleven, which I also built out. And nearby both of those things, and the apartments in this southern part of Applewood, which consists of 1-story houses, 3-story apartment buildings, 2-story apartment buildings, and a row of stores and retail. And there's a Walgreens as well. There is a prison. Right here. A maximum security prison in the southern part of the city, by the way. And this is also, interestingly enough, across from the manufacturing plant of cars. Which, I mean, better than having more houses like right next to the prison, am I right, guys? Yeah. But now I was gonna put houses right here, but I held off because the proximity to the prison and stuff. would be a horrendous idea. And this floating house exists mainly as a placeholder spot more than anything else, so there's always that. And now that we're deeply entrenched in the part of the Applewood metro area that involves, like, suburbs and stuff, I'll just continue trekking down all these streets I have here, and sooner than later we will approach the Yellowhawk Stadium. I believe that's the name. And that is where the virtual football team would play if they have any home games. And okay, hold on. All right. Yeah, the lighting is interesting, or at least what it did with the lighting was interesting. But look at this field. You know, I kind of try to make, like, the scoreboard look like SoFi Stadium a little bit, which is, I feel conflicted whether or not it was a good idea or not, but kind of what you guys think in the live chat about this stadium here. That took me hours of time, by the way. I even made the goal area with the pylons. And Interstate 99 is also right past this entire stadium. So not only you can just go into the stadium and all that stuff. Like, if you ever take the seats up there, or even... Hold on, this may not be the best place to show an example, but... Okay, hold on. Alright, we'll just have to stick with this. From here, if the lights weren't too freaking bright anyway, you could look out and get a glimpse of the freeway. Which is, you know, if you ever wanted a view of the road passing by, this is your ideal spot for that. And we're going to go even further south because this map is humongous. It is about as big as an actual county. It's absurd how big this map is. And, you know, because the map is so big, this is going to take a while for the entire tour to go down. And there it is. The interchange that I made in April of 2023. It's almost 3 years ago somehow. But this would be like the southernmost point of the map yet. Which is just absolutely nuts. How it's the southernmost part of the map now. But we're going to head east. Towards a small stop on the loop around the entire city, which also carries a main line freeway to another city east that's not on this map, which is less complete, with Cedarville being less complete than Applewood and Saunders City combined. And both of those cities I mentioned, Applewood and Saunders City, are the most complete project of Morseville, which is also the most worked on, which makes sense. Saunders City is like the largest city, and Applewood's the capital city. But yeah, here's a truck stop before we get into mountainous stretch of land here that I have not finished landscaping. And I'm just running because driving the expedition led to it glitching out for some reason. It's weird as heck. But, you know. I also made basically most of these highway signs as well, which is cool. Get the sign here. I made sure to put the signs all over this stretch of expressway. Alright. Now we go up some more. I don't know how much more. With the way I have my graphics down to a 5 instead of a 2 or 10. Or full graphics at a 10. And now I believe this is where we have this freeway run up the edge of the mountain range. Which, you know, who knows whether or not it's a good idea or not, but either way you spin it, it has to go past the seriously tall mountains somehow. And you know, this freeway slips through. Okay, wait a freaking minute. What the heck just... Hold on. I am not sure what I have got myself into here. Oh, that's the first line of mountains. Okay. I forgot. There were two sets of mountains, by the way. There was one, and then there's this, which is the most intimidating of all of them, arguably. I'm gonna rename this stream in like a little bit, and then start another stream for Christmas Eve because. Hello. Hey. Okay. Alright. It's a matter of how much we have to continue up this stretch of freeway. And it's just along the slope of the entire mountain range. It just gradually goes up. Further up to a point where it eventually gets to the county line. Which I have no idea when we'll get to that point, honestly. And there's this road, which I believe is US 74. Right there. And I'll consider dropping the game link into the chat if you ever want to like check the game out yourself, you will be able to. And I'm not sure if I should pin it or not, but yeah, this is the game that I'm in. This is one of the projects I have actively worked on more times than not. And this is like one of the final 4 games that I've gradually worked on. And here's the county line. Orchard County, and then Cedar County, which, you know, the names are getting a little too basic with Cedar County, but, you know. And then, yeah, this one briefly gets into Coastal County, like, very briefly. And Interstate 42 barely missed Coastal County. Just barely missed it. Like, just south of the line. So, that's why this road is in Coastal County, but the freeway is not. Yeah, we're running down the slope of this road back up. Yeah, this is gonna be intriguing, honestly. Like, how am I gonna make sure this entire roadway is accounted for? I mean, I could just have it look around like the mountain. The spherical parts that consist of it being parts of a mountain and stuff, but that's just it. There's so much I can do yet. Now all of it's been done, so. And at this point, since like 2021, I've been like practically the only person that's been building this out. And, you know, early on, it was me and 1 or 2 friends of mine working on Applewood, Saunders City, Andorrio, and even Timeoak Island for a minute. And now it's just me working on these places, just trying to finish everything up. Now I'm just wondering when I-42 is going to diverge from this road right here. And then US 74. I believe this is US Highway 74. And this is this 40 or 440? I want to say it's 40 itself. Right here. And I did not finish the ground there, because I was busy filling in downtown and whatnot. It's like there's got to be a point where I'm like, okay, we got to work on this while also working on downtown. Like, I have to figure out a way for me personally to work on these games without throwing myself off. So yeah, this runs through like probably valley or plateau type of area, if you were to guess, and then goes up along a mountain, side of a mountain, I guess, again. And yeah, I just almost fell. That's just absurd. Yeah, here's Interstate 40 for sure. 440 now. Because, yeah, I was meaning to make a loop, like a true loop around Applewood, and, you know, this is what the heck has happened here. And now here we got, like, 3 lanes for the mountains, which is, I don't know if it's, like, ideal. for that to happen. But, you know, to handle traffic, if there even is traffic in game at this point, but theoretically, it would handle more traffic through these mountainous areas. And then it split shortly after. In what probably should have been a more winding area, so to speak. But, and then, what did that say? US Highway 74. Right here. The same road that was going along I-40 for a minute. Went up to the peak, and then crossed, and then went back down. And has crossed I-440. And started going down from there. And while we're talking about the Loop Freeway, which is Interstate 440, I finished up to a point that is, I believe, State Highway. Well, it was Morseville State Highway 16 before Morseville became a nation and all this other shenanigans. I never updated the system. Because, it would be too much work. That's it. And I know at least one person's going to be going on saying, oh, no one cares about your games. Like, I'm doing it because of the people who does care, okay? If you personally don't care about what I have to tour around, then why are you stalking my crap anyway? Like, you're wasting your time more than I'm wasting mine. And this is the point, by the way, where I stopped working on the Loop Freeway. Where State Highway 16 is going for all these winding turns up the mountainside. And, you know, Morseville Highway 16 goes underneath 440, not surprisingly. And this goes along a creek, I believe. Yep. It does. And it's never been finished, honestly. Let's be honest. But also along Interstate 440, if I can just skip over there, I started building out land for a future space station east of the capital city, which who knows if it's an ideal spot or not, because it's high up in the mountains. There's barely anyone living there, which, you know, it seems like it's an ideal candidate already, but, you know, I also didn't like make a sign indicating this was in fact the exit for the space station. And there's the space station building, I guess, and this is probably where all this fun stuff happens. With possible rocket launches, I think, but again, I have no idea. And this road here, it goes over old US 74, and I believe it ends there at the new one. Because I was looking for a place to end the entire roadway, and I thought, you know what, have it end here was probably the better decision. And sure enough, it was. Again, ground incomplete, but I did start working on it here, so I'm gonna have to stay on the road as much as I possibly can. And let me know if the stream ever starts tweaking with black screens or anything, and that'll just simply be a sign where I'm like, okay, let's end it. But we're not done with the tour stream just yet. And this is like, you know, a test trial to see what's going on with why, stream the way it is, or this area might be the most complete regarding the ground and the mountain area. Might be the most complete ever. So we got a house here, and then we get two houses. One as encompasses a trailer, and I believe this one also encompasses as possibly I don't think it's a trailer, but it's pretty darn close. And then we would continue down the old stretch of US 74, where it would turn into, a collection of houses. Large houses. Large for a mountain range. Anyway. And then you get the fire department of the township east of Applewood. And then you get a brief moment where, it's not a freeway, but it acts like one. And then it continues winding through the mountains out of it and towards Applewood, the capital city. And recently, and I mean recently, as in the last couple of months, this has been built out. Where this would be this county seat of Orchard County instead of the new capital city of Applewood. That is now its own territory, so to speak. Acting as a federal territory. Kind of like how Washington, D.C. is to the United States of America, so to speak. And there's another engine, I believe, of the Township Fire Department. And this is another shop. Yeah, that's literally it. But you love to see the progress started of this whole thing. And we're going to head back towards Applewood, where I'll finally get around to the bunkers around here. But first, Target's over here. I know. The store Target that, you can visit in real life, but it's also in this part of Applewood, but and Applewood's obviously not real. But anyways, and then we get the beginning of what is the Southside Mall, I believe is the name. I will check that for my own information's sake. But it's cool. It's cool to have a part of the city as complete as possible. Yeah, it's the Southside Mall here. And the crazy thing about this mall is it's not even done. But I can give you a glimpse of it. Even though if I were to continue this piece of the mall, I would have to build it differently than how it is now. Because of the fact that the type of units used were also going to be different. And even the materials, so. Yeah. There's that. The lights would be, for instance, the lights would be neon. There would probably be rails here. The floor material might change. The blue glass might actually be the glass material, a real glass material, and not like a pretend glass. Because you have to pretend it was glass before the glass material came out. And boy, is that going to be helpful. And yeah, back to more parts of Applewood. We got a gas station, Speedway, across McDonald's, which is near Walmart. And near Walmart is a Chick-fil-A. Alright, I'm done with the word salad. If there ever was a word salad. There we go. We found it. And I definitely showed you guys the, at least the entrance of the manufacturing plant. I've built that out too. And we will get around to that soon. Like within the next minute or so. But yeah, here's a house I built out of nowhere because, again, why not? That is off of, let me look at the name of this, White's Road. And here is a possible entrance to, like, what could be more retail centers and stuff. Either side, really. And this, you know, it leads to the other side of what was the Applewood International or Metro, Applewood Metro Airport, before it closed due to, you know, bigger size and attacks. To downtown, let's just say. I wonder if any of you guys in the chat are there. It's like, I know you guys are there with the number of people that show up in the stream and all, but what do you guys think of Applewood? I would like to hear your feedback, honestly. And I started building out a bike path nearby the prison, which I don't know if it's the brightest idea in the world, but I've also had it loop around from the Warwick Boulevard bike path here. So the biking network, you know, has been expanded upon a couple times. And, you know, this doesn't go along Warwick Boulevard up to the freeway. It diverts north to go along Broad Street. And I will show you guys the manufacturing plant. It has a big parking lot, anticipating that many people are going to work there. And yeah, I have not decorated the inside, but imagine there will be a line for car parts. And then you take those car parts and put them together, stage by stage. And then, bam, you get yourself something like a Ford car or something like that. And I made my own basketball hooping thing, whatever the heck it's called. That has a rim, and the rim has netting attached. I keep shot glass or. But yeah, this is the courtyard of the prison. And I made it where this prison would just go all the way around with these cells. Like, there's just cells on every corner. And at these corners, it's, you know, staff only, where you can just go up into the watchtower at the corners of the prison. Which is not bad of an idea, considering the fact that, you know, there could people trying to escape the prison. But yeah, I showed you guys this area already. I showed you guys the east part of the map, east of Applewood. We showed you guys the manufacturing area. These are the warehouses that are in like the parking lot area of what was the airport. Again, supposed to be an industrial plaza. So that's still being worked on as well. And we're gonna go up Broad Street, the same section of Broad Street that has kind of gone through. And then we're gonna check out Nashoba Town, which is a suburb. And you know, the president's house can be seen from the freeway. The statue of me, since I'm the nation's president technically. Which I don't know if it's a security risk for that to occur or what, but another section of houses I've added in wake of, you know, neighborhood revitalization. And here is the neighborhood museum. And now we are in Nashobaville, a suburb of Applewood that has a few businesses, such as a gas station, a couple of restaurants like McDonald's and Subway, and a smokehouse of sorts. And we are approaching a movie theater where I will go AFK eventually and just sit there. Yeah, here's Lowe's Theaters, which there's a counter to that. And the interesting thing about this particular movie theater is that you can there's free literal theaters. You can just actually walk in and sit down to a blank screen, which I will do that while I will be back. Okay, I'm back. It looks like I'm having a complete lag attack, it appears. Which is not ideal to finish this entire tour off. But let's see, can I... Wait, what the heck? Okay, I accidentally retracted one of my comments earlier. Okay. But yeah. This is absolutely remarkable in detail and quite literally everything else. If I'm gonna be honest about one thing. Alright. Now we're going to head further north. We run into Publix in Applewood out of all places, and Bushes. Excuse me. More residential subdivisions and rooms for retail. And then there's the Andersons from earlier. We're gonna run into New Plymouth again before crossing further west into areas I have yet to cover. So I'm gonna cover those, and then, you know, shouldn't be too bad, even though it's like 3 or 2 frames a second on your guys' end. I'm gonna have to change another setting or two because this has just gotten out of hand, remarkably so. And yeah, here we go. We got multiple lines of rail, 9 sets of 2 rails, and nothing's been done, and I have no idea what to do with them. So there's that. Take that for what you will. And we're out of New Plymouth. We're on County Highway 7, which, you know, it's just a county highway number. And then here's a bridge over whatever possible stream of water it could be, but it's definitely a stream of water. And then we reach this intersection here, where there's 2 small houses, free actually, and a large business center in the middle here. Where here, breaking it, MacBooks and Windows computers and so on. Must be an electronics store, I suspect. And that's not even done. Because this is supposed to be 5 stories tall from the looks of it. But we're not even close for it being finished. My friend who started working on this have not finished it. And now we're back to heading further west. You know, a new house is there. And that's it. There's like not even a gas station out here, which it'll be an ideal location for one. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, because it serves as a literal stop between Interstate 40 and 42. That's so far out from middle of civilization and whatever. And that's Interstate 42 again. See how far north do I gotta go here? Eventually, I'll cross the big river, pronounced Wassaquadock, which is also spelled in a very interesting manner as well. Which is the namesake of the township, which had the fire department earlier. If you ever saw that. And now this is where things start separating off between the Loop Freeway and the freeway that just happened to be on part of a loop. And this heads west, like northwest, rather, and this is probably the end of the map at that point, because, yeah, I have, again, no idea what happens, because there is literally nothing happening out in this part of the map. Literally nothing happening out here, and that's quite the unfortunate circumstances because of how big this map is, and I have not even finished, not even close to finishing utilizing every part of it, and it's gonna be a question mark of how will I solve that by myself. Man, with all the projects I've given myself over the last couple months or years, I'll have to see how am I gonna fit all this into the equation here. And I bring in that up in particular because I worked on Saunders City, Applewood. I worked on another smaller project that's more recent with Circus Town. I don't know if there will be a tour of that just yet. But there's also a tour of Andrea, Egypt, and Timok Island in the Red Sea. So that's now multiple projects that I've worked on exclusively for an extended period of time. That's been, that's been worked on probably the most out of every other game I worked on. And, this party map that is void right now is supposed to be a part of the upcoming airport, which I have never built out, but I just note that location as the airport because it's big enough for one. And I have no idea what to make of it regarding the airport and stuff. And yeah, here's an interchange I made. Of Highway 38. And there, again, is nothing here. Not even a gas station. So, take that for what you will. And I believe that is it. Other than the gas station that I will leave myself to regarding this road here. Other than that, we might be done exploring the entire map. And yeah, we got a dirt road here, which I only extended out for so long before it stopped. So now who knows how much graphics is at right now. It's been going on for an hour and a half. And there's been no immediate signs of extreme lag to the point that screens are flickering, which is good. That's an improvement. Now, can I have quality streams? Because, it'll be even better. And yeah, here's a wooded area. And here's a gas station. At this random intersection between State Highway 38 and 15. Right here. Southeast corner of the airport area, and here's a gas station. Obviously, I have not built this area out far enough as well, and there's also an interchange with Interstate 440 further down this road. So we're going to go further down that road, and it looks like it's 3 or 4, maybe 2, or somehow less than 5 still, or 2 frames a second. And the unfortunate thing of it all is that how laggy it is. And here's the junction sign. I'll give you guys a bit of time to look at that for a minute. And you know, it's the crossover. I forgot what the interchange type is called, but it's definitely an interchange nevertheless. Let me see here, because I'm gonna be honest about one thing, is that, you know, that I used to know the name of the interchange, and the crazier thing is that, you know, I'm just here trying to figure everything out while I'm explaining everything to you guys, so you guys can know what I built. But it's where they start crisscrossing it by the interchange, if you will. And for the entrance of the airport, which I could jump back to in a moment, honestly. Because I did build this interchange out. Yeah, I have so many results in the Discord server about interchanges that I have with, you know. Okay, I might have to actually search up what kind of interchange this crap is, which is gonna waste more time than me somehow searching it up, which are both equal wastes of time, don't get me wrong. But always diverging diamond. Okay, I didn't even have to search it up. It's a diamond, but what kind of diamond is it? Because it's not your typical diamond interchange. Oh, no, it's not. It's a diverging one. And I'm going to show you guys two more parts technically, because I still have to show you guys the bunkers. Which is absurd that I haven't gone to that at this point. But I'm gonna save that for I'm gonna save the government-owned property for last. Because why? Just because I'm all the way over here, and it wouldn't make that much sense to go there in back, you know. So yeah, a couple of more things here, and then we'll be done with the tour of Applewood. And wait, what the heck? Anyways, before I just nearly lost it at the fact I turned in the wrong direction, was that, you know, we went through this part of the telegraph already, but, you know, honestly, I kind of like just doing one area first and then moving on to another and then another, instead of like spreading my work out into one big area like this. But, you know, there's an airport interchange I started to work on, and I believe I've actually finished it. Let me show you guys. Here is the airport exit on Interstate 40. And yeah, this is a humongous ramp. Like, this ramp is surprisingly long. Okay. Like, everything is like 2 ramps. Quite literally everything. Every single interchange ramp is 2 lanes. All 4 of them. Which is not my ideal ramp, but hey. And then, yeah, it's, again, not complete. And I have to start the airport from these ramps. Because then that'll give me an idea of what the heck I should do from there. And not lose my crap. And now, to the bunker. Where hopefully I'll get a glimpse in time, which I should be able to. I'm going to have everything renamed and stuff. And fixed in this game after this stream. Which, you know, it's whatever. You even get the lodging and food signs that typically exist. There's even a lane for HOV on this part of I-40. And you know, this bunker's kind of an Easter egg, really. And it's mainly off the side of the freeway, and I have no idea how on earth did everything result in the way it did. It's like, I don't know about you, but something seemed off there. We got 705 for, like, if I did this, okay, hold on. It's probably meant to be, I don't know who made that mistake, but it's supposed to be like this. Alright, back to the, oh yeah, this thing fell off too. I'm gonna have to fix that too. What's up with everything breaking in this game? In the others. But here's the basic admissions areas. Like, you have to check in, get in here, I guess. And then, yeah, we get a nuclear fallout shelter sign there. And that's what it is. It's a fallout shelter. And then you get this right here. Air raid shelter. Persons may shelter here at their own risk after the take cover notice has been given. Like old styled raid area type things. It's like you can climb up there and yeah, it's mainly for storage. Like, this is a meeting area, I suppose. These are bunk beds just lined up. And then, you know, here's one of my friend's bunkers. It's probably out there. And then if you can't tell already, here's mine with all of my accounts. And yeah, I did make a note of where every account is at within my state. Plus, you know, but yeah, everything's so bright I can barely see the skyline of the largest city in Michigan. It's absurd. But then, yeah, there's even more of this stuff. Yeah, this is like air raid shelter for you. A whole bunch of them. Looks like this is an interrogation room of sorts. Where only certain staff can get in there and stuff. And then there's the second entrance, and it's by vehicle. And it's winding for a reason. So yeah. Looks like that is going to be all I have for this house tour of Applewood. In this house of my friends. It's still a work in progress. As crazy this might sound, it remains a work in progress for like as long as it's been here. So what can I say? I already finished my house over in Applewood. That's all I'm gonna have for this tour of Applewood. Other than, you know, defunct Circus City here. High school. Across from that, we got Orchard County Sheriff's Office in Applewood for some reason. A hotel on the old Poindexter Avenue. And further up the road, you get University of Applewood. And here's their basic... Okay, what the heck am I doing with this here? It's probably for a reference, but still. What did I say this building was? Student Activities Building. Okay. And that's the only building I've built on the University of Applewood, by the way. The only one. Which is nuts, but this is what happens when you got crap going on to the point you and I have, like, no clue what's happening, and then you're just like, well, shoot, you know? But here's my house in Applewood. It has a 3-story building and a barn of a shelter. I mean, shed shelter. That is uneven. Because I don't expect myself to be using it as much, but... Anyways, guys, that is all I'm going to have for this entire behemoth of a tour of the capital city of Morseville, Applewood. And if you guys like this tour, or any live stream of mine in general, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications. You can join the Discord server to be further notified when you see that there's another video that comes out. You'll be one of the first to watch it. So there's that for you guys, and I will see you guys later.